What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Torque Spec Garage. Following up from my last video, like I said, I told you guys if I could get this mower running that I would do a tune-up. So all my stuff came in to be able to do a tune-up. So I'm going to show you guys how to do just kind of seasonal preventative maintenance on this thing. So let's get right to it. Alright guys, so like I said, this is a Bilt Bronco. As you can tell, I already have the hood off. So to get the hood off, you just tilt it up and it just sits in these little grooves. So you just pull straight up and the hood pops straight off. Next, we're gonna have to get this cover off. So it's the four 5/16 bolts, I believe, that hold that on. So let's get that off. And then real quick guys, this is everything we're gonna be changing. Got a new air filter and pre-filter, new fuel filter, new exhaust gasket, new valve cover gasket, a new fuel shutoff, 10W30 4-stroke oil, new Champion, where's that? RC12YC spark plug, and oil filter. Like I said, just a little preventative stuff. I know it is leaking out of the valve cover gasket, so that's one big thing I wanted to change because this thing smokes really bad without a fresh gasket. So let's get this cover off. Alright guys, so we got the four 5/16 bolts out. I got the air box off. There's just two little twist locks that just unthread off of these posts. And then the air box just pulls right off. That allows you to get to this bolt that's right here. So just pull your dipstick out. Set it to the side. And then this cover just comes right off. And then that'll allow you to have access to all the valve cover bolts. I believe there's 7. We need to take this exhaust guard off. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 millimeters to get that off. So let's get that off. Alright guys, so here's the old air filter. Like I said, it's pretty dirty and clogged, so just wanted to show that before we jump into this. I think the first thing I'm going to do is we'll do the valve cover gasket first and then do the oil change, just so I can get all this cleaned up and everything really good. So let me figure out what size these valve cover bolts are and we'll get right into that. I'm gonna get my little drain pan to put under here just to try to prevent any oil spilling. Shouldn't be a ton, but better safe than sorry than having a floor full of oil. Alright guys, so to get this valve cover off, there's gonna be 7 10 millimeter bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But first, you can just take this breather vent line off, just set it to the side, be sure you don't lose it. Then I just have my trusty side ratchet. Take these off in a crisscross pattern. And I'll get back to you guys once I get them all pulled off and get the valve cover off. Alright guys, got our valve cover off. So as you can see, this gasket is absolutely cooked. So definitely was in need of a replacement. So I'll get a knife and see if I can, because you want to make sure you clean off the sealing surface real good underneath this old gasket. Actually, it might just pull right off. Cool. Yeah, these cork gaskets are notorious for leaking, but I'll clean all this up really good. Try to get all the excess oil off the exhaust, so hopefully it'll quit smoking. And yeah, we'll clean the valve cover up, get it put back on with the new gasket, and then we'll go on to, might as well do the spark plug next since we're right here. So I'll get back with you once we get this cleaned up, and we'll put the new valve cover gasket on. Alright guys, so we got our sealing surface cleaned up really good, as best as I could rather. So got the valve cover cleaned up, got the new gasket sitting in there. So one thing I like to do when I'm putting in new gaskets so I know they're in the right spot and they're not going to move is I stick all my bolts back through just to kind of hold it in place. And you want to go at a crisscross pattern whenever you're tightening this back up. But as you can see, got the valve cover all cleaned up, new gasket. So we'll get this put back in here, tighten back up, and then we'll move on to the spark plug. Alright guys, so got the valve cover put back on. Everything's tight. Gasket didn't push out. It just kind of pinches in on the seam, which is what you want. You don't want it like pushing out and breaking and all that stuff. So that's good. I actually already pulled the exhaust off because I thought that other gasket was an exhaust gasket, but I think it's probably the carburetor gasket or something. So next, let's change the spark plug. So just pull that off. You're gonna need your 5/8 spark plug socket. So I'll grab that and we'll get this pulled out and swap the fresh one in. All right guys, so get your 5/8 spark plug socket. Just break it loose, then it should spin right out. And I know last time I couldn't get it to focus, so maybe I can get it to focus a little better this time and show you guys what this one looks like. Then I'll show you the new one. So it's not terrible, but it never hurts to throw a freshie in. So that's the old one. Just throw it down there. Got a nice fresh Champion. Like I said, part number RC12YC. Just thread it back in there. These come pre-gap, so I don't need to check the gap. Alright. Then I'll get this tightened back down. We'll put our plug wire back on, and then we can move on to probably the oil change. Alright guys, so to get the oil out, there's this little yellow fitting right here. So you just spin it counterclockwise a little bit and then just pull it straight out and it'll pop it open. They send a hose with some of the kits so you don't make a giant mess like I did. But what I came up with is I just took my little funnel and stuck it down in a little container to try to catch it. But unfortunately, a lot of it got in the floor. So if you see the kit that gives you the hose with it, do it. And then your oil filter's right here, so we'll get that pulled off once all this oil finishes draining out. And then there's our fuel filter we're going to change. Alright guys, so just to give you a visual of what I was saying to how to drain the oil. So just pull your little cap off. This just spins to the left, counterclockwise. Like that. And then you just grab it and pull. And then it lets the oil drain out. Alright guys, and once all your oil's finished draining out, you just spin it back into the right and make sure you push it back in to make the oil quit draining out. Put your little protective cap back. Then you can come up here to your oil filter and you should be able to just get it off by hand. You shouldn't need a wrench. Let's see if I can do this without making a giant mess. But I'm going to make a giant mess again. Here we go again, everybody. Alright guys, then once you get your oil filter off, just make sure the old gasket doesn't come with it and just make sure your sealing surface is clean for the new gasket to seat properly. And then just grab your new filter, thread it on there, and then we are ready to fill this thing up with some oil. Alright guys, and once you got your new filter out, just take a little dab of the old oil and just rub it around the new gasket. Just to help keep it lubricated. Then just take it and just like your car guys, you don't have to crank this thing down on here. Just nice and snug, and then give it an extra little just by hand. Once that ain't got to be too crazy, then just clean up all your mess if you made any like I did, and you're ready to put oil back in it. Alright guys, so next we're going to swap out this fuel filter. So you have these two little compression clamps that hold it in. So just get you a pair of pliers and just slide them up as far as you can to be able to pull the filter out. I have me a little catch jug here because this petcock does not shut. So I'm just going to let all the old gas, because I mean it's old gas in here anyway, drain into here, and then we'll just throw some fresh gas in it. Alright guys, so like I said, got this pulled off, just letting all the old gas drain into this jug. And then we'll swap the new fuel filter in, new petcock on, fill it up with gas, put some oil in it, and she's ready to rock. Alright guys, so we got the new petcock on, and whenever you install your fuel filter, you want to look. Some of them will have it like written on there like flow, but this one has an arrow. I don't know how good you can see that. Either way, there's an arrow pointing this way, so that's the way the flow is going from the tank, so you just want to make sure you put your fuel filter in the right direction. Alright guys, so we got the new fuel filter in, got all the new clamps on, new petcock in. So now she's ready for some fuel and oil. We'll get the new air filter put in, get all the covers and accessories put back on, and then that's all there is to it for this little routine maintenance ordeal. Alright guys, so I just turned it over for a second to kind of prime it. As you can see, got fuel going into the fuel filter. No leaks. Got it choked. Alright guys, and that's going to wrap it up for another video here on Torque Spec Garage. Like I said, not the most exciting content in the world, but I told you guys if I got it going, I'd do a tune-up and kind of show you how to do your routine maintenance on a riding mower. So if you have any questions, you know, as always, drop them in the comments and I'll help you any way that I can. Super simple, very straightforward stuff here, you know. Definitely a way to save yourself some money rather than taking your mower in, you know, yearly and having it serviced or whatever. You can do it yourself. But I appreciate you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Later.